Hotel family, life, prosperity, health. Once again, it's your brother Matthew Daniels, and y'all seen the title of this one. All of the comedic NeterRu are real, and some of the comedic NeterRu are actual people. Why am I making this video? Why did I say that? Well, if you follow my channel, you know that I have a lot of debates with my friend, my good friend Tori, and he is a Bible believer. He's a Christian, and a lot of times you see me challenging what he believes. And so him and we got together, and we thought that it would be a good idea if he were able to challenge what I believe. So he was asking me some of my concepts on what do I accept, what do I believe about my religious beliefs, my spiritual convictions, why do I follow Kemet, what do I believe about Kemet. And I made the statement that I believe that all of the NeterRu are real, and I believe that some of the NeterRu are people. And he totally disagreed with that statement. And so I figured that that'd be a good topic for us to discuss, because we had a point of contention. We had something that we disagreed about, and as opposed to me challenging his beliefs, he would have the option to challenge mine. Now, I don't want this video to be too long, so I'm gonna try to get right off into it. So I just want to say that I believe he's disagreeing with me because he just doesn't understand. So the first thing that we're going to look at is, what is NeterRu? What does NeterRu mean? And to briefly go into that, we're going to look at the book, The Gods of the Egyptians, Volume 1 by E.A. Wallace Budge, and we're going to go to page 4 and 5. Now, there's more, but I'm only going to read this small quote. It says, Budge writes, "It is very unfortunate that the animals and the spirits of natural objects, as well as the powers of nature, were all grouped together by the Egyptians and were described by the word NeterRu, which we considerably in exactness we are obliged to translate by gods. Again, it is very unfortunate that the animals and the spirits of natural objects, as well as the powers of nature, were all grouped together by the Egyptians and were described by the word NeterRu." So Budge here is saying that in Kemetic thought, animals, the spirits of natural objects, and the powers of nature were all grouped together by the Egyptian word NeterRu. He goes on to say, I'm not going to read the whole sentence, but he says that the scribe found himself obliged to call both God and the lowest of the beings that were supposed to possess some attribute of divinity by one and the same name, i.e. NeterRu. So what is Budge basically saying? Budge is saying that everything in essence that one can physically see, one can physically experience within the natural realm, can be considered the NeterRu. From the animals to the spirits of natural objects to the very powers of nature itself, is all classified as the NeterRu. So if I say that all of the Kemetic NeterRu are real, I'm saying that the powers of nature are real, the spirit that inhabits natural objects are real, and don't be spooked out by the term spirit, and the animals themselves are real. So I don't see how my brother can get away from that. And spoiler alert, if animals and powers and forces of nature and the spirits that inhabit natural objects can be considered as NeterRu, what will make this brother think that a person cannot be considered a NeterRu? All of the Kemetic NeterRu are real, remember that, and some of the NeterRu are actually people. Now, the brother might tap out of the debate before we even have it, but what he has to understand is, and I think it's just a lot of misconceptions, so this will give me the opportunity to teach. What people have to understand is that in Kemetic thought, all is one and one is all. Nothing is actually separate from the one. It is simply various manifestations of the all. I have a connection with everything around me that you see in this room. I have a connection with everything out in the universe. Everything is connected. Everything is one, and that one is manifested throughout the observable universe in multiple different ways. This is the comedic thought process. And if you do not understand that piece of the comedic thought process, then you're going to be lost. Okay, real briefly, let's just look at one of the NeterRu. Let's look at Mayat. Okay, is Mayat real? A Christian or my brother Toy, you may want to tell me that no, Mayat is not real. But let's look at Mayat, and let's go to the same book. The Gods of the Egyptians, Volume 1 by E.A. Wallace Budge. But this time we're going to turn to page 417, and we're going to really quickly look at a quote about Mayat. The goddess Mayat was then the personification of physical and moral law and order and truth. In connection with the sun god Ra, she indicated the regularity with which he rose and set in the sky, and the course which he followed daily from east to west. Thus, in the hymn to Ra, we read, "The land of Manu, i.e. the west, receiveth thee with satisfaction, and the goddess Mayat embraceth thee both at morn and at eve." Again, in connection with the sun god Ra, she indicated the regularity with which he rose and set in the sky. So, if Mayat is responsible for the regularity at which the sun rises and sets, then Mayat is an integral part of the known universe. You would not even have a way to monitor time in a way that we do had it not be for Mayat. But the sun rises and sets at a interval which can be tracked, and it repeats its cycle. Now, the sun isn't actually rising and setting. The earth is revolving on its axis, and the earth is orbiting around the sun, but it is doing it at a specific pace, and it is doing it at a specific orbit. Everything has a order to it. Mayat is rightness, truth, balance, the straight path. It's order, it's reciprocity. Okay, Mayat is that thing which makes the earth rotate on its axis and orbit around the sun. Mayat gives the order to the universe. One could not observe the observable solar system, right? One cannot look out into the solar system and predict what Jupiter is going to be in the sky within the next 2 to 3 days had it not been for Mayat. One could not predict where the earth is going to be in relation to Mars in the next 232 days had it not been for Mayat. The calculations that we use to monitor the heavens would not be possible had it not been for Mayat. So if Mayat was not real, one could not make these calculations that we use every day. If Mayat was not real, 1 hour would not turn into the next, and that hour would not turn into the next at a set interval. Okay? And again, the brother want to talk about whether or not the comedic NeterRu are real. The brother want to talk about whether some of the NeterRu are actual people. The NeterRu is everything, brother. Simply put, the NeterRu is everything. Amun-Ra, listen, you have, and if you look into the Assyrian Book of Life, you go from Atum to Ptah, from Ptah to Amun-Ra, from Amun-Ra you get Shu and Tefnut, from Shu and Tefnut you get Geb and Nut, from Geb and Nut you get Asar and Aset. Asar and Aset symbolizes the human beings, right? Geb is the earth, Nut is the heavens, right? Shu is air, space, ether. Tefnut, watery, moisture, the life force contained within the air, which represents Shu. Shu, Tefnut, they are married. Geb, Nut, they are married. It was a time in creation when we did not have the atmosphere. The Kemetic people, they explained this by saying that it was a time when Geb and Nut were locked in an embrace, and Shu had to come. The air, the space, the ether. Shu had to come and separate them. Because had Shu not come and separated Geb and Nut, there would be no realm for the atmosphere where we could have breathable oxygen. Okay, now I'm not going to go too deep off into it, but I'm just shooting some stuff off to show my boy, you really don't want to have this debate. Remember, I'm leading the campaign that all of the NeterRu are real and some of the NeterRu are people. And I will slice and dice my homeboy when we have this conversation. Hotel.